nervousness on their face, given that they know there is a long tournament in front of them. Match number 8 is going to close out, and it's incredible to think that this is a team that is always so prepared, right? So it's a new day.
Would you please give it up? Your Game 8 winners is Cami and City! Do you want to hop up for me there, fellas? I'll come down, I'll come down. What a day, what a start to the day. Second game, a victory royale. You guys have been in this position before. Walk us through the end game there. It seemed that the high ground once again reigned supreme.
Yeah, I mean, we were at that side, so we just took the high ground because it was very free. And I think this is the first game that we really had Surge. And yeah, we're just gonna try to do our best to have Surge in other games and then try to win more.
Well, you guys as well, you've been in this position before, our 2022 Invitational winners. What kind of experience does that, guys, give you in moments like this, having been through the likes of that?
I don't even know, we just played high and we won, like, I don't know. We just need to focus on the next games, maybe we win some more, and yeah, we'll see.
You seem very locked in as well here. As we can see, the 1.5 multiplier really changing things up on the leaderboard. A few more games like that, and who knows, you could be lifting the trophy again, Seti. Who knows? For you guys, how do you push through now? What do you do next?
I think we just have to stay calm, get Surge, and try to win more games. That's it.
And lastly, I want to say, it's a big day as well for Seti here, folks. It's someone's birthday today, okay? On a count of 3, can we all say happy birthday? 1, 2, 3! There you go. Whatever happens, thousands of people chanting your name. One more time, give it up for Cami and City! Happy birthday, buddy. And on that note, Game 8, as you can see, things are really changing on the leaderboard now. What will happen next? We're going to find out. Once again, a short break from us. Do not go anywhere. Don't be silly. There's loads more global championships coming your way right after this.
Hello and welcome back to the FNCS game number 2 on the day, 8 overall. Seti, Cammy find themselves the victory royale as well. Fortnite fan, please give a big welcome Kelly Link and Mini Miner as they join us here to break down this game. I cannot believe how insane this game went for the duo.
I mean, when we saw kind of the new season, we thought, wow, low mobility. This really seems like this could be Cammy and Seti's season, especially when we had the lackluster performance from Major 3. And then day 1, it was a bit of a disappointment, but they are here to show up now from the high ground, taking absolutely crazy shots onto some of the biggest names on the low.
Yeah, and it's something that we spoke about on the desk yesterday. This team have the potential to take high. I think if you're a traditional Fortnite viewer, maybe you haven't watched for the last few years, you might think, oh, this is a sort of low ground consistent duo, right? That never play high. No, that's not the case. These guys have learned how to play high these last few years, and of course they can pull it out when they need it. The zone really worked in their favor for them this game. We saw them setting up. Of course, it went all the way back over the Mount Olympus mountain. We saw Queasy and Thomas as well on the front side trying to set up for height, but with the way that zone pulled back, there was only one team that could take height.
I love there after that when they just sat back down, just leaned back in the chair. That's right, everybody. We're going to take that in. You watched it right. We got ourselves a victory royale. I would love as well him just calling out, you know, hey, we got dead side. We had our surge in check. A lot of these duos are still having those issues, right? Trying to manage Storm Surge.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, taking advantage of kind of that early high ground where they were able to kind of get those tags that they need from around the lobby, and then using it, seeing where the zone is pulling on that Mount Olympus south side mountain, where obviously if you get the high ground, you pretty much control the rest of the lobby.
Yeah, 100%. And what's most surprising to me about this is actually their first win of the entire chapter. So it's like, wow, how have Cammy and Seti not managed to get wins? It hasn't been their most amazing chapter overall, but this is going to give them that huge boost of confidence, because I was looking on the leaderboards going into this game, they were quite low down there. I think it was like sort of top 40 area. So this is going to boost them up in the stand. This is going to boost their confidence as well. And I hope to see more from this duo like that.
Also, what better birthday gift than to get a victory royale?
Not bad.
On the global stage. Why not? Happy birthday to you, Seti. We got to talk about a couple things here, like Peterbot and Pollo. Now 2 games that they've had a really difficult start, which is, again, it just feels so uncharacteristic, especially after yesterday.
You know, Minnie at the top of the show asked me, Kelly, what do you want to see today? And I said, you know, I want it to be a close game when we get to game 12. But I don't know if I necessarily meant this. I don't know if I meant our top team to go down twice without any points except for a few elimination points. And honestly, I'm wondering if it's just due to these rotations that they were dealing with, the over-aggression that we see from Peterbot and Pollo a lot. Also, getting kind of third-party time and time again has just been such a struggle for them. Yeah,
they're struggling with their heals, I think. They're getting into a lot of these fights, not necessarily finishing them off, getting to use their own heals or having to use their own heals. And we saw it right there. Pollo went down first, and it was actually Sky that got the knock credit for that. So he was actually dipping off. Sky and Score was saying, right, let's go into the storm. But then they saw that little knocked Pollo on their screen. They thought, right, you know what? This is going to be a 2v1 against Peterbot. We then get the best medallion in the game. We get the best weapon in the game. It's worth a fight there. But of course, they didn't quite close out the fight in the end.
Speaking of uncharacteristic, using the armored walls to box up, probably potentially to revive Pollo, but unfortunately knocking Pollo out of the box instead. And I mean, I'm just guessing it's nerves. Obviously going down game 1 was a bit of a upset for them, and maybe those nerves they need to shake off for game 3.
That's right, that's right. I actually want to take it back to this boxing up of a moment, right? We actually have a listen in from that exchange. Let's see how this went.
I'm just getting the most unlucky loot of all time. We might need the bunker, bro. 79 alive.
We could actually, yeah. If whites to go back, I have one white.
If we don't get whites, we're dead, by the way. No heals. No whites.
Yeah,
Get any? You get any?
No. We could go campfire.
None. We need to go now.
Okay.
We still need more whites.
We're gonna go northeast, like to the
Pad
that you hit.
Need to pop my own med kit.
Yeah, pop my med kit then rest.
Wait, he just killed you.
There's bandages under me that I can use. 6 armor if we have to. Without it.
Okay.
Get the armor, guys. I'm on the other wall. I'm on the
No, man.
Get it out.
I'm dead, bro.
Definitely a difficult situation for the duo. I mean, did you see how many different opportunities there was for any heal available at all and did not receive a single one?
sometimes it just goes that way. You know, that is a little bit of that RNG factor we're kind of used to seeing.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Unfortunately, there is just an element of RNG when it comes to Fortnite, and that does mean what you're going to get out of those chests, what you're going to find as floor loot, and unfortunately finding barely any white heals, going as far as into the storm to get that bunker. But now, seeing where they are on the leaderboard, Peterbot and Pollo dropping down to second place, meaning that Thomas, HD, and Queasy are in first place.
Yeah, they are. I mean, what a turn of events right here. That's the first time this entire chapter that Peterbot and Pollo have placed outside of the top 25 in back-to-back games. And who's taking advantage of that? It's Thomas, HD, and Queasy. They would have seen Peterbot and Pollo going down in the feed, and you can see the way that they play this endgame. They weren't necessarily taking too many risks. You saw Thomas, HD playing out those med kits towards the end. We saw them sort of poised for height as well just before that sort of 9 stone started to pull, and unfortunately it didn't quite work out for them. They were in the prime position for it, and of course, as we know, Cammy and Seti ended up coming out on top there, but it was this moment right here, Thomas just squeezing out as many placements as possible, 6th place in the end. It's not an amazing game, it's not a first place like we saw in the game number 1, but it's a very, very good game to overtake that first place spot.
And honestly, with the lack of materials that they had at the end game there, they played it perfectly. They stayed to the low, they stayed back so that everyone that was staying in the front of zone where all that chaos is in the low and middle ground would not be affecting them. But of course, when you get down to just 6 teams, eyes are everywhere and you will eventually be caught out. But still, with what they were given in that game, Queasy and Thomas played that so well.
That's right, and for them, you know, it was looking good for Queasy and Thomas, right? There was just one problem. You look up and you're like, we got high right. You look up, oh, steady Cammy, nice. Wow, with that being said, though, we are prepared for more action here from the FNCS Global Championship. Game 9 is here and ready, so casters, take it away.
Yeah, you know, this is the dream for us as talent, watching this all play out and things starting to get close as we get to the final moments.
Look, everybody from a spectator point of view wants to see some close finishes, but Peterbot and Pollo, I kind of want to see them bounce back because we heard it from Peterbot on the call, just the most unlucky loot of his life. But let's see what Match 9 might have in store. Just like that, we are back. Technically, MDF approaching the halfway point on today. And with that in mind, this is where the pressure is really gonna start to surmount onto so many of these players. Queasy and Thomas, they have made it to the top of the leaderboard, but now it's all about maintaining that position.
Yeah, the truth is that it's only gonna get more and more difficult from here on out. You start to see the reality of the situation, and that's you actually have a chance now to take it all away. Every moment is going to come with that little bit of hesitation, right? That second opinion inside the back of your mind of whether or not it is the right move. But you have to continue to follow your instincts, follow your gut here. Worthy and Alex right now doing what they've done since yesterday, carrying in the momentum here. They've continued to win the drop. They're on 4 wins of the drop consecutively, and it seems like things changed after they started getting loot first.
And what's also really turned things around for them is, like you just said, they kind of led off day 1 with a couple of wins here at Restored Reels. Granted, one of those maybe a little bit more in favor for them to start with. Mustache Malabuka encountering some difficulties of their own along the way, but that being said, Malabuka, Mustache, the ball's in their court to try and bring this one back to life for them, because the reality of the situation is they have not been able to build any points for 2 matches already today.
Yeah, Malabuka, Mustache, clearly amazing players, right, from the European region that we know and love. But let's jump in with Huddy and Kovacs, talking about EU juggernauts right now on the move up against Atlantic, Skrull, and Sky. Skrull and Sky rotated very early in match 8. Come match 9, though, they're looking to stick around and see this fight all the way through to the end, most likely. Kovacs and Huddy have a lot to lose here. They are in 5th place. Sky and Skrull have a lot to gain as they can fight their way up to the top 5 potentially with one good game, given the multiplier.
Sky and Skrull, they're definitely familiar with these early contest fights off spawn, but couldn't help but notice what looked to be either King or Phaser kind of lurking just a ways further north from Rebels Roost in the distance. So some possibilities of a third party to take place. It all depends on just how noisy this exchange actually manages to get. And in fact, it is King lurking nearby, potentially hoping for a moment to just stroll through, clean up some easy eliminations, get those points online, because we've already seen King and Phaser make a deep run into the end game in match 7, and they're definitely hoping to try and replicate some of that.
Also looking to just scrap this building out for what they can here in case the fight does come down to the basement. Sky and Skrull doing the same as well. Luckily enough, they're on the back side of the building, so Phaser and King don't quite have lights and eyes on them just yet. But I'm assuming the attention's gonna come in shortly. Give it a moment. Kovacs and Huddy catch a foot there. They know where one player is.
And look, we're familiar with these battles, these early exchanges, but everything that I've noticed so far here today, MDF, is that it's very evident so many of our competitors are just freestyling every single part of their strategy here today. No one is on the same loop paths, the same rotations that they were making all throughout the course of yesterday, and that has made it incredibly difficult for some of these teams that I think just got a little comfortable with what to expect, now having to completely switch things up on the fly.
Yeah, even this battle is gonna hit the brakes for a moment, but here we get a little update with Clix and Vino in the early game. What's happening here is that they're just trying to get situated for the first time in what feels like the entire tournament. Sandy Steps is in the zone. That's gonna change the dynamic quite a bit, actually, given that they won't be sitting in the storm potentially fighting other players, and other teams won't be just rotating in expecting them to be there.
And again, Clix and Veno definitely like to play for the vending machine that's nearby so they can expend that little bit of extra time inside of the storm, tanking those early storm ticks without having to necessarily worry about it because they'll have that ample amount of white heat. But Skrull, Sky, currently recognizing the fact that there's more than just one other team nearby. And Phaser and King, they've actually got the cutoff route. The moment that any of these other two duos, whether it's Kovacs and Huddy or Sky and Skrull, chooses to try and depart from Rebels Roost, they're gonna get held on the edge of zone depending on where Phaser and King box up. But not only that, Phaser, King, they have to close out on that exchange because they spent so much time not getting early search tags.
Take a look what's happened here. Aviv already has an elimination, and Booga is right behind him right now. Remember, they land just a little further north, so sliding in, cleaning up house. Seems like Job and Michael were also here, part of this fight. Chicho and Trulex on the move right now, trying to get into the zone here. Being held out now by Booga and Aviv. They're gonna Flowberry Fizz. Get a move here shortly. Take a look at the highlight. Aviv comes in, finds Shadow, cleaning up what's left of Virgo. And then T1 Michael takes the punishing shot there before pumping the brakes and backing off.
Peterbot and Pollo definitely looking a little bit more set up this time around, but Peterbot gonna find himself momentarily chopped, and Pollo, the only intention from this duo currently is to secure this forecast tower, and with nobody else in sight, Pollo and Peterbot have just unlocked knowledge for every future zone this game, but now they have to make sure that they can actually transition this into a solid late game run because they've been cut short 2 times here today already. And again, no one looking to make it easy for this team.
Talk about Michael and Job. We're making that rotate out. Seems like an equally as dangerous duo's got sights on him. Vico and Flixie now making a move here, pushing into the wall, grabs the first one, takes the second. He's fast, he's quick. The reaction is so good for Flixie. And now up from top, coming in to see if he can end this. Vico grabs that wall, cuts him off. The double edit, the triple, doesn't find it. Backs off now. Great defense from Michael here as he finds 2 tags, so he is effectively putting up a very good defense, but I just have to, I was gonna say, give all respects here, of course, to the EU duo and back up.
That just seemed like such a stubborn battle there for Job, though. I mean, he could have looked to try and throw up another wall, maybe try and buy himself a little bit more time. Potentially may have just run out of materials, I'd have to assume. Michael down to wood build, so this duo definitely looking to be a little bit of shambles here. And Flixie, Vico know that they've got an extra 6 points waiting for them the moment that they secure this elimination onto Michael. And finally, another 12 points will be secured. And not only that, but opening up the opportunity to continue trying to control other teams that are stuck just on the outside, the edge of zone, closer to where some of the new POIs are located.
That was 3rd place. This is 4th. Trulex and Chicho, as we're bending into the late half of the tournament now. Much more of a difficult game for Chicho and Trulex here, who, again, clearly have a bit of a problem at the drop being held out. What a shot. It's almost as if every time we tune in, that Monarch pistol damage is incredible. Is finding its mark. So what's happening on the other side of the sandy steps, though? The zone landed here. We talked about that changing the dynamic of the game. And surely we're seeing it start to come into play now. As Resigns and Dama have made it up the storm, so is Shari and Giras, the same teams here. But then off in the distance, got Peterbot with the eyes on the prize here.
Not only that, but Benno as well, keeping himself concealed just enough. Gets the chop onto Resigns' floor. Also gets a few tags in, but still not enough for Benno to want to key him just yet. Instead, he's going to regroup with Clicks and continue to hold down the station. But it's just a very difficult time to try and break away when you know that there's 2 other teams duking it out just above you on the hill.
Kovacs almost missed the train there, but he gets it just in time to join Huddy. They're pretty desperate if they're trying to secure loot from here. And that's the results, again, of sitting in the storm, being contested, being held a little too long for a moment there.
Huddy not even going to choose to stick around. They wanted the train. They nearly had it. But the fact is, MDF, they're going to have to leave this one empty-handed. And now, with only a handful of bandages in tow, Huddy and Kovacs could potentially be staring down the barrel of their own downfall. It was a risky play to try and make it for the train. I respect the call, though. The commitment, though, just impossible to find with so many eyes on.
Bunker play right now for Ping. No teammate, unfortunately, lost here just outside the underworld. So even for Huddy and Kovacs, there's still danger nearby. You never know who's sitting in the storm. Just really shows you that anything can happen. Meanwhile, Bryce and Bolts, this is one of the few times we've actually caught up with them kind of in the early / mid game here as things are starting to develop. This time it's up against Body Out and Reason. The floor tick here for Bolts. Bryce playing the other angles. Bad damage though coming in first.
Padilla has just been on fire today. He is not willing to budge. The moment that he sees an opening, he is immediately shooting back and typically winning out on some of those exchanges. And now he's able to overtake the high ground because of the damage that he applied onto Bolts just now. But Reason, the moment he starts to crank up, another team in the distance, a solo even, potentially threatening his position. Got a few shots in, but Bryce, Bolts, potentially not fully aware of the damage that Reason just absorbed. And they're gonna choose to actually sit into the low ground and wait for a new opportunity to see if they can engage yet again with the Germans.
Reason and Padilla playing a dangerous game here though. A lot of these walls are not theirs. They are sitting in all this Bolts and Bryce territory. Now they have successfully infiltrated, if you will, this base here and taken over a good portion of it. Bryce is looking like he might be going for the edit out. If I've ever seen one, it's definitely getting set up. They recognize what's happening, and for that reason, jump back down.
Again, though, this is a lot of time being spent from both sides, and we've already seen a lot of teams here today struggling with some of these surge thresholds and maintaining damage that puts them in a position where they can just be comfortable on their rotates. And the longer these fights draw out, the easier it is for other duos to get ahead of you, to look back, take shots, prevent you from entering a solid position inside of the zone. And Baka and Pars, a little bit more so in control, Surge base inside of the heart of Nitrodrome. They've got a couple of white heals collected at the top of their base. Meanwhile, finally getting a little peek into what Cold and Acorn have been up to. Relatively quiet day so far, but we heard it first from Acorn. He's after that trophy.
Day 2 team still yet to show us it today. Couple of points slipping down here from Acorn and Cold. You know, these things do happen. The adjustments being made by the other opponents have surely affected their strategy. But they will have to continue to adjust here, continue to make up for it. Bugha and Aviv seem to be on a faster track here today as well. Let's see what's going on here. So from one fight to a potential other, they're just getting situated. Seems like they found their home for now.
Slight gift as well. An extra bottle of Flowberry Fizz now to work with. Aviv and Bugha just want to make sure that they establish as much of a foundation as possible. Got a decent position inside of the zone, so don't need to make any risky plays when you're sitting with as much surge damage as they were, 333 above. But Acorn Cold tapping back in. It's Sato. They managed to find him yet again, but it's actually going to be Damo on the other side of the walls. Lot of traction picking up here. Just outside of Sandy Steps and Acorn Cold. They're looking to collect. Cold still barreling down onto Cal Gamer, but just above, the backup has arrived, and Cold, he's going to have to disengage.
Yeah, Taman out of nowhere here, diving across, trying to get into this fight. Acorn and Cold almost had a set of eliminations waiting for them, but due to Clix and Vino shooting in at the box when they initiated, everything went downhill for a moment there. And now they're just trying to find a tag as they're below the surge, so they're in honestly desperate situation here.
At the same time, Acorn tries to take the walls there, but instead it's gonna be Cal and Aman doing what they can, but again, Cold getting a little bit too much foot traffic here. Cal still holding his position firm. He doesn't have his duo any longer, but Clix, Veno, they got the shots that they needed to. They know that they can third party this, no problem. Cold, he's so weakened as is. Cal just below, two separate solos that Veno and Clix could look to collect on.
Yeah, and they've definitely started to change their focus in purely onto Cold now as they send him running. Now looking to see if they can pick up the spoils of the loot from Acorn, but nothing just yet as they're kind of lost in this mix. And little do they know there is an Antilex and Sato here, right? So that team hasn't made any noise now, but look at that. They do secure the gear here. Very nice pickup for them. If nothing else, it was damage and new loot.
They basically just got to reap all the benefits of these exchanges that Acorn and Cold had initially established. And Cold, yet again, caught off guard, was trying to keep himself tucked away, but Cal gets the job done. At the very least, he'll have those two solid eliminations onto Acorn and Cold to work with, but he knows he's likely not safe for a whole lot longer here, because Veno and Clix, they've got an idea. They heard those shots go off. They're waiting for Cal to surface from these builds. But at the same time, they also kind of want to get a move on because they don't want to get stuck in the storm for too much longer here.
Yeah, it seems like Vino's going to give the call out here. Let's just get out, play smart. Clix is going to have to stop and heal for a second. They're going to huddle up together. Cal Gamer will live to see another day. Very, very close engagement there.
I always think it's so impressive how every single time we check in with Queasy and Thomas HD today, it just seems like they have so much surge, and for good reason, but somebody who wishes they had a little bit of backup at this point. Kovacs just lost his duo to King, and this exchange has been trailing them ever since the Rebels roost. King and Phaser have refused to leave Kovacs and Huddy alone, but now Kovacs as a solo, he's got to deal with the likes of Reet and Ritual to his east, and not only that, but a collection of duos slightly west of his current position. A late rotate is going to be a necessity if he wants to power his way through here, but some of the shots that he's applying, he knows he needs to get that damage just above threshold, and still exposing his position. It's a risky engage.
Logan and Vive on the other side find their way to the new zone. The half in, half out already revealed. They're below the surge though. They will have to find a duo or land on someone shortly, and from their sights, there isn't anyone nearby. There it is. Finally, they see a fresh build. It's going to be Teeny, and it's a single box, so the confidence is surging here, but Bugha damage first. No extra heals. This is all around disastrous, right, for Bugha and Aviv right now. And it's only a matter of moments. They will have to